Jai Shri Krishna. We are on chapter 17 and I like to complete that today in this sitting. So it will take some time. So I'll ask everybody just to relax and be at ease and just join us. This chapter is called Yoga of the Division of Threefold Faith. Before we start today, I'd like us to think on two things. I found out that we can learn from other people a lot of things because everybody has got something to contribute. And so a member of the Royal British family said that the hardest thing to do is to do nothing. And another one said, one is lost without faith. If you don't have faith, you are lost in this world. We find these to be true based on Bhagavan has said in Gita. In chapter 3, Shlok 5, he said that the three gunas of the Prakriti make everyone to act helplessly. You cannot help, but you have to act. You end up acting. And this is done by the three gunas of the Prakriti. Therefore, no one can ever rest even for a moment without performing action. So the first statement, it is the hardest thing to do is to do nothing, is true. Very difficult. We see something, we instinctively we react. We want to say something. We cannot hold our words back. We give body language, whatever it is. Everybody will react. It's very difficult to control yours. This is what is called tap. And we're going to learn today. And the second thing is, in this chapter, at the end of this chapter of 17, Shlok 28, Bhagavan said that yagna, tap or dan without Shraddha helps neither here nor hereafter. It doesn't help even in this world or after we go away from this world into next state. You see, in English, Shraddha is defined as faith. I figured the Shraddha word has to be understood. And to understand, easiest thing is for us is to look in the English. Is faith or trust. We all need to have faith in someone. That is a fact. We all need to have faith in somebody whom we can rely with confidence. People in this world are unreliable. They all are engaged in their own selfishness. So we need to have faith either in Devata, which are Trigunatmak, and be subject to rebirth, or Ishwar, who is Nirgun, and having faith in Ishwar, become free from the cycle of birth and death. He is the only one who is our well-wisher. Even Devata doesn't come into play when talking about well-wishing. Not all these Devata, they are not well-wishers. Only Ishwar is the well-wisher. So now we continue from here where we stopped last time. Last time we completed Shlok 6, where Bhagavan said that those who do tap, which involves pain or torture to the body, consider them to be of demonic resolve, Asuri Prakriti. This is because every Devta is situated in human body. The Vishnu Devta has covered the entire body from the forehead to the feet. The main Shakti of Ishwar is also there with the Jeev within. So when one does tap by causing pain to the body, that person is, Bhagavan says, achetas, meaning that he has no consciousness. He is not conscious of what he is doing. So Bhagavan says, Karshayant Sharirastham Bhut Gramam. He is causing pain to all Devtas situated within the body. That is why in chapter 6, Shlok 17, Bhagavan said, Yuktahar Viharasya Yukchestasya Karmasu. The ahar or the meal should be in moderation. We should eat in moderation. Meaning one should leave some room for water and air. Neither eat in excess nor starve yourself. Both are form of pap. So I came across something in this regard. I heard on the radio program they were talking about the losing weight, how much person should eat, what is the proper diet. So there come across here, there is a new diet called the Scandinavian diet. And in this diet, whatever amount fits into the palm of your hands, that is the correct quantity for us to eat. Our hands are, the size of the hands are in relation to our body. So that's what they found with doing the research. It is interesting that this is what used to be the measure for diet for sadhus. In old days, they used to go do bhiksha, and they didn't have anything to take bhiksha, they only took it in their palm of their hands, and that's all they ate. So it was interesting for me to hear this, and they said this is the proper amount of food that a person should eat at any time. So now and this is what I will say yuktahar. This is what yuktahar is. What is the proper amount of food we should eat? That's yuktahar is whatever fits in the palm of our hands. So you can measure how much it is, and that's it. Now we start with Shlok 7.
आहारस्त्वपि सर्वस्य त्रिविधो भवति प्रियः यज्ञस्तपस्तथा दानं तेषां भेदमिमं शृणु.
आहार तु अपि सर्वस्य त्रिविध भवति प्रिय. Bhagavan says, ahar api priya sarvasya trivid bhavati. Food also that is liked by all according to their prakriti is threefold. And similarly, yajna, tap, tatha danam and dan are also threefold. Do thou hear the distinction between them from me. Now Bhagavan is going to tell Arjun what is the difference. What are these three types of ahar? Yajna and tap. Bhagavan says these are kriyas, the actions. Ahar is also action. Yajna is also an action. Tap is also action. So is dan. So based on the prakriti of the innate disposition of everyone, there are three distinct type of ahar, food or meals. Yajna, tap and dan. Now Bhagavan is describing these distinctions. He first describes the three types of food, ahar. Among foods, Bhagavan first described the characteristic of sattvic food. What is sattvic food?
आयुस्सत्त्वबलारोग्य सुखप्रीतिविवर्धनाः रस्या स्निग्धा स्थिरा हृद्या आहारा सात्विकप्रियाः
Ahara sattvika priya. Ahar, or the food that are agreeable to people of the sattvic prakriti, augment and promote the following. What are these things they augment and promote? Ayu, longevity. So sattvic diet brings about longevity. Here again, remember, it has to be yuktahar, the quantity has to be proper based on our body structure. So if you consume sattvic ahar, food, in proper amount, it will increase the longevity. Sattva, sattvasta or contentment. This food gives you contentment from within. For example, one does not feel hungry repeatedly. You ate something and 10 minutes down the road, you feel hungry again. That's not sattvic ahar. Thus, it contributes towards abating the chanchalata or the restlessness of the mind. The mind says, I am hungry again, let's go eat something else. Because it does not satisfy you. It does not give you contentment. If it gives contentment, that is sattvic food. Number 3, bal. The sattvic food gives us strength and vigor. You don't feel down, you are always active. Arogya, it gives health, keeps you healthy by keeping away diseases. Sukha prati vivardhana, and increases happiness and cheerfulness, cheerful disposition. You are always happy and cheerful because you don't have those stomach problems. And it promotes affection. So by imparting the above, the sattvic ahar promotes affection between both parties, the one who is feeding and one who is eating. And what such food is like? The food that imparts these sattvic, these characteristics or these attributes is, number 1, rasya. It should have taste, flavor. It should be savory. Snigdha, oleaginous. It has a touch of ghee or butter or oil, just a touch. These are the literal meanings. However, the real meaning here is sneh. Snigd means sneh, or feeling of love and not friction. As the presence of the little oiliness prevents friction, so such food gives a loving feeling. The person who's feeding, a person eating, they enjoy. These days, people add so much butter or ghee in their food that you can see it floating. This is not snigdha or savory. It can give heartburn. So it won't be sattvic. Because sattvic food gives arogya, keeps all diseases away. Sthira. Here there are two meanings. The food is stable and does not spoil quickly. In old days, there were no refrigerators to store foods. Also, when it is eaten, its essence remains in the body and nourishes it over time. Slow release energy this food gives you. It's not that you ate and all of a sudden the sugar level went up and then boom, then gone down again. And you feel hungry again. That's not what sattvic food is like. So it's high fiber kind of food. It slowly releases the energy to the body. So body is not overwhelmed with lot of energy at one time and becomes overactive. So you're steady, stable, and that is what is the key for not getting illness, sickness. Number 4, hridya. The food is naturally agreeable to the sattvic swabhav. Such foods are likely to be sattvic. The food which have these 4 characteristics, they are sattvic food. In the next shlok, Bhagavan describes the characteristic of rajasic ahar. That is what everybody likes these days.
कट्वं ललवणात्युष्ण तीक्ष्णरूक्षविदाहिनः आहारा राजसस्येष्टा दुःखशोकामयप्रदाः.
The ahar that is relished by those with the rajasic prakriti is described here. The food in this diet, they are katu, they are bitter. Some people like bitter food. Amla, sour. Lavan, saline or salty. Some people like a lot of salt in their food. Actually, the salt in the ingredients is enough. You don't have to add any additional salt most of the time. And it's all matter of taste. So the person with sattvic prakriti has different taste than that of the rajasi prakriti. So, and Achunu says, Bhagavan says it is excessively hot. Some people like piping hot food. If not hot, if the tea is not hot, even if it burns your mouth, people don't like it. It got to be hot. Food has to be really hot. Steam should come out of it. That's Rajogun. Tikshna, pungent. Ruksh, dry. Contrary to the sattvic, which is savory, this food is dry. Vidahina, burning and are productive of what they do, this food, they cause burning, heartburn and all that, and give dukh, pain, suffering, shok, grief, and amaya prada, give rise to disease of the intestine. Ahar, food in this diet, ishta, are favorite of Rajasasya, the Rajasic individual. So you can tell by the kind of food person prefer whether his prakriti is Rajasic or Sattvic. Now look what has been said here. The Sattvic ahar and tap, meaning hard work. Tap doesn't mean that you sit here and meditate and do. Tap means hard work also. That is also tap. result in increasing longevity, ayu, improved health, and arogya. On the other hand, the Rajasic Ahar gives rise to pain, grief, and most of all, diseases. Naturally, this will result in reduced longevity. If you get disease, your age will, your ayu will go down. So in the next slok, Bhagavan talks about the characteristics of the food in the tamasic diet. So let's see what Bhagavan says.
यातयामं गतरसं पूतिपर्युषितं च यत् उच्छिष्टमपि चामेध्यं भोजनं तामसप्रियम्.
In Gita, Bhagavan did not spell out meat or animal flesh or alcohol as tamasic food. However, he hinted about these. Bhagavan says, Yat bhojanam, food that is yat yamam, improperly cooked or half cooked. Gat rasam, which has no ras, its essence has gone out or dried up, just like eating dry fruits. Puti, stinking, it has an odor to it. It has an odor like rotten grapes to make liquor. To make wine and liquor, grapes have to rot. They smell, they stink. Parishitam, stale. The food is stale. Has been sitting around for a while. Cha uttishtam. Now this is important. Where people, when they are cooking, especially in the West, they'll take a spoon and taste it and put the same spoon back into the pot. So Bhagavan says that is uchishtam. It is refused. Someone used the spoon and then put it back into the pot. Cha amedhyam api, and is impure also. That food is also impure. Animal flesh, eggs, blood, which involve violence, hinsa, and intoxicants which are impure. They are all impure by nature. So it is, that food is impure. Tamasa priyam, that is dear to men of tamasic disposition. So people with the tamasic disposition, that's what they like. The blood is considered impure. These foods bring impurity into the mind and gives rise to impure thoughts. There is a famous saying, you are what you eat. Some people say you are what you drive, but usually you are what you eat. So what kind of food you enjoy, you relish, and you consume affects your thought process. Now Bhagavan is talking about 3 types of yajna. Please remember, here the word yajna denotes worship. So Bhagavan says,
अफलाकाङ्क्षिभिर्यज्ञो विधिदृष्टो य इज्यते यष्टव्यमेवेति मनः समाधाय स सात्विकः.
what is a sattvic yajna? Yeah, that vididishta yajna. Yajna which is performed for its own sake only, as ordained by scriptural injunctions, according to vidhi. Iti, in this way, mana samadhaya, with their mind fixed on the yajna alone, yaddashtvam eva, with the understanding that it is only their duty to perform the yajna or the worship. Ijjate aphalankshibi, and which is performed without any desire for its fruits. Just sattvika, that is sattvic. So the yajna performed or the worship performed according to vidhi and with the mind fixed on the yajna alone, that it is his duty to perform the yajna without any desire for its fruits, is called the sattvic yajna. When the desire comes in, it becomes rajasi. So sattvic yajna, sattvic worship, a person worshipping because that is what he is supposed to do. That is what he needs to do. Whatever fruit comes in, that's fine. Or doesn't come, that's fine too. But he is not worshipping to get fruit for the worship. On the other hand, that which is performed for the sake of mere show, a lot of people do that. A big yajna, big worship, invite 100 people and show off, big priest is coming, So they are doing for show. And for the sake of mere show or with the eye on its fruit. This is what I'm going to get out of it. That yajna becomes rajasic. And that is explained in the next shloka.
Abhisandhaya tu phalam dambharthamapi chaiva yat ijjate bharata shrestha tam yagyam vidhi rajasam.
However, Bharata Shrestha, O best of Bharat, Arjun, Dambhartham eva, for ostentation, cha abhisandhaya phalam api, and with an eye on its fruit also, yad ijjate yagyam, that which yajna is performed, vidhitam rajasam, know that as rajasic yajna. So the yajna which Pandav did, Rajsu yajna, what was that? It was Rajsu yajna. It was to show Duryodhan and others that we are superior. It was done so that Pandu can go to Swarga. So it is ostentatious, as well as it was done with an eye on the fruit. Today, almost all worships are done with an eye on the fruit of the action. People do that. They do Satyanarayan Puja, go to Rameshwaram or other temple, or Vaishnav Devi. It is all with the desire for its fruit. Now comes the Tamasic Yajna in the next shloka.
Vidhihinam srishtanam mantrahinam adakshinam shraddha virahitam yagyam tamasam parichakshate.
Yajna, that is vidhihinam, devoid of vidhi, is not done according to vidhi. No one knows what vidhi is, what to do in that yajna, in that worship. This happens when the doer did not receive any training from his guru. An example of this is Upnayan Sanskar. In it, the young man is taken to Guru who have him receive a hymn. He gives him a hymn or mantra, places his hand on his head and says that you must recite this hymn from today on for the rest of your life. That is vidhi. If the procedure is not followed, yajna is vidhihinam. It's not, the vidhi is not being followed there. Ashashtannam, the word annam means the food, and asrasht means not prepared, so that the food is not prepared. In other words, no food is offered in this vidhi. You have to have food, daneshu, annadan. Or the food is offered is brought by a vendor and not prepared at home. The people who are doing the worship, they just call people, some restaurant, bring the food in. That's not the proper way to feed people. Remember, the three components of any yajna are worshipping the Dev, fellowship, and giving alms and feeding people. Mantrahinam, the yajna which is devoid of mantra, the priest does not know what mantra are to be recited at that worship. For example, in wedding, there is a mantra for husband and wife. It says, Mam vrate tav hridayam dadami anuchittamam te anuchittamastu. That I give my heart in your vrat, your man, and mine are same. From now on, your mind and my mind are same. Whatever you will say, I will accept that. Another mantra is Samani vah aputi samana hridayan vah Om Samayo Manati Bhav. That your faces are equally beautiful. In the wedding, everybody looks very beautiful. May your heart be alike, and from today on, you both bear each other. एक दूसरे को सह सको. You must bear each other. And there is a dakshinam, no dakshina. In that worship, if the dakshina is not given, it becomes vidhi. And shraddha vihritam is devoid of shraddha or faith. Tamasam parichakshate. It is said to be tamasic yajna. So there is a lot of stuff involved here. So next, Bhagavan says that tap is also of three types. We have seen ahar, we have seen yajna. Now Bhagavan is telling about three types of tap. Some relate to the body, some to the mind, and some to speech. Here Bhagavan is indicating that although there are three types of tap, all three are included in each other. Since to complete any action, it has to have all three components, manasa, vacha, karmana. So mind, speech, and body. The three types are complementary by virtue that in some mind is predominating, in the others speech or the body are predominant. So they are all complementing each other. They have to be all three together. Bhagavan has described the three types of, for sake of giving us an understanding of penance or tap. The tap means to exercise control over the mind, speech, and body. That is what tap is. Tap means to control, to restrain. Remember, first thing we talked about, the hardest thing to do is not to do anything. That is tap. So here, tap means to exercise restraint or control over mind, means thought, speech, and the body. To refrain from doing the wrong action. Exercising these tap keeps these means of action or the karan from going astray and involve jeev into doing incorrect actions. So, first Bhagavan is talking about the tap of the body. It is described in the next shloka.
देवद्विजगुरुप्राज्ञा पूजनं शौचमार्जवम् ब्रह्मचर्यमहिंसा च शारीरं तप उच्यते.
Pujanam, the puja of Dev Dvij Guru Pragya. Devata, the twice born, Dvij. See here again in Christianity they have born again Christians, right? In Hindu religion, those who have Upanayan Sanskar, they are called Dvij. They are they are born again too. Then comes Guru Pragya. Pragya means Jnani people, people who have Jnana. Shaucham Arjavam Brahmacharyam Cha Ahimsa. Maintaining purity, straightforwardness, continence and non-violence or causing injury to others. Shariram Tap Uchyate. It is called the tap of the body. Although the body is primary here, we do this tap through mind and speech also. There is what we call the body language. See, you can talk with the body too. For example, giving someone a dirty look. Here, although you spoke no words, you did convey your disapproval of the other person or his action. So, if we cannot be pleasant, we must avoid being unpleasant. That is tap. Tap, where the speech is primary, is described in the next shloka. The last one was tap of the body, now tap of speech.
अनुद्वेगकरं वाक्यं सत्यं प्रियहितं च यत् स्वाध्यायाभ्यसनं चैव वाङ्मयं तप उच्यते.
Yad anudvegakaram vakyam. Do not use the speech which causes anxiety, vexation, speaking gently, slowly, and not saying words that are varnsparshi, meaning they touch the heart of somebody. And expose another's fault. Bhagavan Sri Chakdhar said, he told his disciple Lakhubai that it is better to behead somebody, that is better to behead somebody than to expose their faults. This, of course, is a figure of speech, but it is very serious. You do not expose somebody's faults. Even if you know it, just keep it within you. That is called the vacha, tapa vacha. So, how you should speak? Priya hitam cha satyam. Use words that are agreeable, priya hitam, beneficial, and satyam, truthful. Those kind of words one should use when you talk to somebody. In Manu Smriti, it says, Satyam bruhyat, speak the truth. Here the truth refers to whatever has been experienced by mind and senses. Priya bruhyat, use unpleasant speech. The experience of the mind and senses could be unpleasant, but use pleasant speech. So, Here Bhagavan says, do not speak unpleasant truth. Sure, there is a truth. You know something to be true, but it could be unpleasant to somebody else. So do not speak that truth, because even if you spoke not to the person which you're talking about, it will get to that person somewhere along the way. You tell somebody, they tell somebody else, they tell somebody else. Eventually you'll get there. And that will cause what they call worm sparsh. You are touching the person's heart and the person cannot say anything about it. So here Bhagavan says not to speak unpleasant truth. The speech should be pleasing, priya, pleasing to others. Cha swadhyaya abhyasanam, and practicing the jnana which is related to Atma. Swadhyaya, related to Atma, with the spoken words, like reading scriptures, doing nam jap. Ev Vang mayam tap uchyate. These are said to be, they are the form of tap of speech. That is what is called the tap of speech. In our daily life, this tap is especially important. Generally, people hurt others' feeling by imposing their views, speaking while the other person is still trying to say something, speaking in a loud voice, telling other person that they are wrong. Maybe they are not wrong. It is the way you are looking. Maybe you are looking in the wrong way. Other person may not be wrong. We can avoid many conflicts by exercising the tap of speech. We must reflect on it. Next comes the tap of mind. So Bhagavan says,
Manah prasada saumyatvam maunamatma vinigraha bhava samshuddhirityetat tapo manasamuchyate.
Manah prasada, maintaining the serenity of the mind. Prasad means prasannata, pleasantness, serenity of the mind, mental happiness and cheerfulness. Swamatvam, remaining peaceful. Maunam, practicing silence with the habit of contemplating on Parameshwar. You remain silent, and while you are silent, you are contemplating on Parameshwar or Ishwar Tattva. Atma Vinigraha, restraining the Atma, meaning practice control over the mind and senses. Here Atma means mind and senses. Atma Vinigraha. Examine any thought that arises in the mind before saying it out loud. Whatever thought comes to the mind, think about it. Practice maun or silence for that few moments. Reflect on what the thought has come into the mind before you say it. Think about the consequences of the speech that you're going to make. You're going to say something, what consequences that has. Because you are responsible for that consequence. Because you spoke. Bhav Sanshuddhi. Try purification of the thought that arise in your mind. A lot of thoughts arise in the mind all the time. So, what we need to do, try to purify those. Take the impurities out of them. All kind of thought in the mind, the difference between an insane or deranged person, which we call pagal in Hindi, and the sane person is that the insane one says whatever comes to his mind, just spits it out. whereas the sane one controls his thoughts. Thus, he purifies the bhav of the antahkaran, the innate self. It etat manasam tap uchyate. In this way, it is called the tap of the mind. The next three shlok, Bhagavan describing the characteristic of sattvic, rajasic and tamasic type of tap.
Shraddhaya paraya taptam tapasta trividham naraihi afalakankshabhiryuktaihi satvikam parichakshate.
Tat trividham tap. The three type of tap, mind, speech and body, that are taptam paraya shraddhaya, performed with the utmost shraddha. Paraya shraddhaya, utmost shraddha. Yukta nare, by the yogi men, the people who are yukt. Yukt means yukt with gyan. They have gyan in them. So they are yogi. Aphala kangshabhi, desiring no fruit in return. See here the key word is yukta nare, the people who are yukt, yoga yukt. They don't have the desire, they don't work for desire of the fruit. Parichakshate sattvikam, sages call that sattvic tap. An example of this is when someone sits in a proper posture, concentrates and does the job of Ishwar Nam as his duty and desiring no fruit. This is also called Ananya Bhakti. So Sattvic Tap is Ananya Bhakti, also Sattvic Tap. Next shlok.
Satkaramana pujartham tapodambhena chaivayat kriyate tadiha proktam rajasam chalamadhruvam.
Satkaram manaj puja artham tap dambhen cha evayat kriyate tat iya proktam rajasam chalanam adhruvam. Yat tap, that tap kriyate, which is performed satkar man puja artham, for gaining respect, honor, to be worshipped, cha ev, as well as for any other selfish gain, by nature either in all sincerity or dambhen, by way of ostentation, pretension. What is such tap like? That tap is like tat, that is adhruvam, uncertain, chanchal. That tap is what you call fickle mindedness. Chalam, momentary. That tap is right now, then it goes away. Here, such tap, rajasam proktam, has been said to be rajasic. Next shlok.
मूढग्राहेणात्मनो यत् पीडया क्रियते तपः परस्योत्सादनार्थं वा तत्तामसमुदाहृतम्.
Tap yat kriyate, tap that is resorted to mood grahen, out of foolish notion and obstinacy, hut, to complete a hut of the mind. Okay, that's obstinacy. You have a hut in your mind, you want to do this and you are just obstinate. In other words, when the mind has been taken over by foolishness to fulfill an obstinacy or hut, and how it is done? Atmana Pidya, with pain to the mind, speech, and body. Their mind, body, and are in pain while performing the tap. But they try to hide the pains. They are having the pain, experiencing the pain of the mind and body, but they try to hide it. No, I'm fine. For example, sitting outside in summer and burning a fire around also. So you're sitting outside and you burn fire around you. Or firing up some coal and walk on them. A lot of people walk on fire, right? Va parasya utsadan artham, or for the purpose of harming or ruining others. Some people do these worships to hurt other people. For example, invoking bhoot pret on other people. Tat tamasam udahatram. That tap is declared to be tamasic tap. So next now Bhagavan talks about 3 types of dan. First is the sattvic dan.
दातव्यमिति यद्दानं दीयते नुपकारिणे देशे काले च पात्रे च तद्दानं सात्विकं स्मृतम्.
Yad danam. That dan iti datavyam, which is given with the idea that it is my duty to give. I am supposed to give dan. That is my duty as a human being, to give dan. Diyate anupakarane, and given to one from whom no service in return is expected. The dan is not when you gift somebody something and they do something for you. That's not dan. Dan is when you don't even know the person. You don't expect anything in return. However, certain criteria must be met. These include desh chakale, appropriate place and time. For example, one needs to see if there is a need at the place where the dan is being given. People are hungry. People need something. And you fulfill that need. That is a proper dan. In other words, needs are being met by that dan, by that giving. Patrecha, and it is the duty of the one who is giving to make sure that the recipient is worthy of the dan. You just don't give for sake of giving. You got to find the right person who is worthy of that dan. Is he going to use that gift properly? Tad danam satvikam smritam. That dan is held to be sattvic. Next comes the rajasic dan.
यत्तु प्रत्युपकारार्थं फलमुद्देश्य वा पुनः दीयते च परिक्लिष्टं तद्दानं राजसंस्मृतम्.
Yattu. But that dan prati upkarartham, which is done with the view to receiving something in return. Prati upkarartham. Someone did something for you and you gave him it in return. Va phalam uddishya punah diyate, or is given keeping the fruit of this sight in the sight. You are giving something to somebody and your sight is on what he's going to give you back. What is the fruit of that dan is going to be. You are always got that thing in the back of your mind. You're always looking what I'm going to get out of it. I've given $100. What can I expect out of it? So, depending on what he's expecting to get back, that is how much he is going to give. So, he gives accordingly. Tad danam rajasam smritam. That dan is held to be rajasic. And now the tamasic dan.
Adeshakale yaddanam apatrebhyascha diyate asat-kritam avagyatam tattamasamudahritam.
Yaddanam. That dan asat kratam, without respect, and avgyatam, in a disdainful spirit, tiraskar purvak, just give it somebody without any respect. Just throw the money. Here is your money. Adesh kale, in the wrong place and wrong time. Adesh means wrong place and kale means wrong time. Cha apatrebhya, and to unworthy person. Apatra, those who consume animal flesh or alcohol. That's what here means. Apatra. Involved in stealing or in bad activities. There are people who stand by side of the road with the sign saying homeless. Now, do you know they are homeless? But people give them money. What do they do with that money affects the person who gave that money. Diyate is given, tat tamasam udahratam. That dan is said to be tamasic. Now the rest of the shlokas are especially important and need to be understood properly. In these it is said that all dan, tap and yagna which are done should be shared by chanting Om Tat Sat. In the next shlok, the meaning of those has been described. Here it has been said that every activity should be started by chanting the name of Paramatma, the Supreme Spirit, and that prior to all actions one should take these three names, Om, Tat, Sat. In Sanatan Dharma, all these three names are that of the Paramatma. Here the correct meaning is that Paramatma, whose names Om, Tat, that, Tat means that, Sat means is, Om that is. Om Tat Sat means Om that is. There he exists. That Paramatma does exist. So in Sanatan Dharma, all actions start by saying that Paramatma, the creator and the protector of the creation, thou art Paramatma whose name is Om. So Om is the name of the Paramatma. Tat means that Paramatma. Sat means is there. That's what Om Tat Sat means. Therefore, I am doing this action by mind and in your name. So I am doing this action by and in your name. You are the one who is helping me do this action, and I am doing that in your name. Now let us take the next shlok. The shlok says,
Om Tat Saditi Nirdesho Brahmanastrividha Smritaha Brahmanastena Vedascha यज्ञाश्च विहिताः पुरा
Pura. At the time when the Srishti was created, Pura means old, Puratan, when it was created first time. Om Tat Sat. Om Tat and Sat. Iti Trividh. This triple Nirdesh Smrita Brahmana. This triple name or appellation has been declared for the Brahm. Om Tat Sat was declared for Brahma. Then, by that, usi se, Pura, in the beginning of the creation, in the very beginning, first time, at the cosmic dawn, in the Satyug, Brahmana, the Brahman, those who had the knowledge of Brahm. Who is Brahman? Brahman is the person who has the knowledge of the Brahm or the Ved. Brahm is a name for Vedas. Cha Veda and the Vedas, Cha Yagna and Yagna or the worship, Vihita, they were formed. So in the very beginning, in this first creation, Brahman and Satyug, Brahman means the knowers of the Vedas, they were created. Vihita, they were formed. So, in the very beginning, the Creator brought about the creation by saying Om Tat Sat. Om, that Paramatma who is our protector, and Tat Sat, that He is present in Sansar. He is here. That Paramatma is everywhere. Saying this, by saying this, He brought about the creation. Here it is said that He created Brahman, Veda. Brahman is Vedas. And Yagna. So, He did not create others. He only created Brahman and Yagna. No, those created were Brahman. All those in the first Yuga, the Satyug, are Brahman. They are all called Brahman. Okay, Brahman not a caste. Brahman, those people who were created in Satyug, because they are the knowers of the Brahm or the Vedas. And their yagna or the worship is Vedic or of that of the Veda or the Brahma. They worship Brahma. That is because he knows Brahman or Ishwar. He only worship Brahman or Brahm. Their dharma is called the Atmopasti. In Satyug, their dharma is called Atmopasti, the worship of the deity Chaitanya Maya within themselves. Chaitanya Maya, in the very beginning of this discourse, we talked about that all devtas are within us, even Chaitanya Maya is within us. So, in Satyug, those people, knowers of the Brahm or the Brahman, they worship Chaitanya Maya within. They saw that Chaitanya Maya within themselves and they worship the Chaitanya Maya. That is what Om Tat Sat, the Satyug worship is. They do not need to eat. They get their power from the Chaitanya Maya. All they do is to do the Atmopasti. They just sit and just concentrate and look at Chaitanya Maya within. Where they see the light of the deity Chaitanya Maya within themselves. There is a light within themselves that they can see. They are the Brahman. And they have the Gyan of the Veda or the Brahma. There are no rules in that Yuga. All rules were made in the next or the Treta Yuga. So next shlok.
तस्मादोमित्युदाहृत्य यज्ञदानतपः क्रियाः प्रवर्तन्ते विधानोक्ताः सततं ब्रह्मवादिनाम्.
Tasmat, Bhagavan says, therefore, Brahmavadinam, those followers of the Vedas, perform, utter, Yajna Tapa Kriya, the acts of Yajna, Dan and Tap. Vidhanokta, as enjoined in the Vidhan or the sacred precept. And how they do this? They do Sattatam Om It Udahritya. Always beginning by saying the sacred name Om. Om It Udahritya. Always. Satatam. Always. Om It Udahritya. They always start everything by saying Om. So these followers of Veda start all acts by saying Om. Om, which is the name of Paramatma. Om Tat Sat, or that Om. Tat means that, Sat means exists, that is there. Next shlok.
तदित्यनभिसन्धाय फलं यज्ञतपः क्रियाः दानक्रियाश्च विविधाः क्रियन्ते मोक्षकाङ्क्षिभिः.
Mokshakankshibhi, mumuksh, those who have the desire to attain the moksha, state of moksha, the seekers of moksha. Vividha kriyante, perform various kind of acts. Yajna, tap, kriya, cha, dana, kriya, the acts of yajna, tap and dan. Tat it, by uttering tat, with the idea that all that belongs to that Paramatma. Tat, they say, first one said, start everything by saying Om. These people, they say, start everything by saying Tat. Because they say everything belongs to Tat, that Paramatma, the Supreme Spirit. And Anibhisandhaya phalam, neither desiring nor expecting the fruit of their various acts. And the next shlok.
सद्भावे साधुभावे च सदित्येतत् प्रयुज्यते प्रशस्ते कर्मणि तथा सच्छब्दः पार्थ युज्यते.
It, in this way, Sat Etat. Sat is the name of Paramatma. Prayujyate is used Sadbhave in the sense of reality that the Paramatma is. Sadbhav, what kind of bhav you have in your heart, that Paramatma is. That is Sadbhav. Bhav about the Sat. Cha sadhubhave, and the sense of goodness, sadhubhav, sadbhav and sadhubhav, that in your heart you have goodness. Tatha partha, and parth, sat shabda yujyate, the word sat is also used, prashaste karmani, in the sense of a praiseworthy, auspicious action. This Sat is the name of the Brahm. Next shlok.
यज्ञे तपसि दाने च स्थितिः सदिति चोच्यते कर्म चैव तदर्थीयं सदित्येवाभिधीयते.
Yajne tapasi dane, and in yajna, tap and dan, sthiti, that which is present always, that which is present always in all the yag, tap and dan, sat it uchyate, is in this way is called sat. The sat essence is present in every tap, dan and yagna. Is present in every all of these three actions. So in all acts of yagna, tap and dan, there exists the power of Brahma. Those who do these acts of yagna, tap and dan are doing the praiseworthy and auspicious acts. And tadarthiyam karma, karma perform for that Paramatma. This karma is performed for that Paramatma. Tat Sat, that Paramatma which is Ev Sat Id Abhidhiyate. Definitely said to be is definitely said to be Sat. On the other hand, next slok,
अश्रद्धया हुतं दत्तं तपस्तप्तं कृतं च यत् असदित्युच्यते पार्थ न च तत्प्रेत्य नो इह.
Bhagavan says in conclusion, Parth, any hut means yagna, done, any yagna done, which is done, dattam, dan that is given, tap taptam, tap that is done, cha yat kratam, and whatever good karma that is done, anything which is done, ashraddhaya, without shraddha, tat, all that asat it uchyate is asat, so it is called, and tat no ih, that is of no avail here in this lok, chana pretya, and nor hereafter. So Bhagavan makes it very clear that any good or shubh act that is lacking the shraddha, you are doing very good action, worshipping deities, but he is lacking in shraddha or the faith in that action. That is neither beneficial in this lok or in this life, nor hereafter where one goes after death. So Shraddha is key. The faith is very important. That's why the people say faith, family, all they come together. Without faith, there is no family. So we must understand that Shraddha means having reverence for someone, some higher power, and while you're worshipping someone, you must have Shraddha in that person. He is your protector. You must have Shraddha that power is your protector. Ittasati Srimad Bhagavad Gita Supnisarsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjun Samvade Shraddha Traya Vibhag Yogo Nam Saptadaso Adhyaya. Shri Krishna.